And we won't need anything in particular today. The idea behind this class is to bring in some steadiness, but also to apply ease. So let us begin just for a moment by lying down on the floor. It won't be for too long. Just get yourself a little bit comfortable. I am encouraging you to just make it comfortable for yourself, so we can ground, we can focus. And whether you keep your knees bent, you extend your legs into Shavasana, you can open the arms, you can close them in and touch your body. So no rules quite yet, and no real props needed. So when you come to lie down there, just basically closing the eyes very gently if available. And if the mind is too busy or the body too tired, you can always steady your gaze against the ceiling instead. As we allow that, we can take time to notice ourselves. In the Yoga Sutras, it says Sthira Sukham Asanam. It talks about steadiness and ease and the necessity to have both these qualities within each posture that we attempt. You are already in a posture or a shape. Allow yourself to feel supported. With that at ease, and the nature of the shape is already steady. Applying these principles not only to the posture, but also to the breathing practice that I invite you to, as I invite you to establish a full yogi or maybe even ujjayi breath. As you breathe into belly, ribs, collarbones, and you're breathing out from your belly to the ribs and to the collarbones. Each breath flowing in that same pattern in and out of the nose. And even if you've never done that before, but maybe starting to narrow down the air passage, then the back of the throat, engaging around the glottis to create that soft hissing sound of the ujjayi or victorious breath. Finding the steadiness in the pace of your breath, being quite reliable, long and slow. While the breath might be victorious and with that even a bit stronger, we're still applying the idea of ease as the breath isn't strained to a certain point. We might expand our breath to a certain length, but we can still transition to the next in or out breath with ease. As you allow that breath to continue just for a few more rounds. I will share some words about Sthira and Sukha from Desikacha. How can we realize the qualities of Sthira and Sukha? The steady alertness and the lightness and comfort of being necessary for a good yoga practice. The Yoga Sutra refers to a beautiful image from Indian mythology to illustrate the concept of sthira and sukha. The story tells of Ananta, the king of snakes, floating on the ocean, his long snake body coiled to form a comfortable couch on which the god Vishnu lies. The snake's 1,000 heads reach up and out like a protective umbrella over Vishnu. On the umbrella rests our earth. The snake's body is soft and gentle enough, sukha, to serve as a couch for a god, and at the same time is firm and steady enough, sthira, to support the whole earth. We should endeavor to bring those same qualities of gentleness and steadiness to our asana practice, all the while making sure that we exert progressively less effort in developing them. Maybe keeping these qualities of the shapes in your mind as I invite you to begin with a little movement. If your hands are resting on your body, let the arms open. If your legs are extended, step your feet down onto the ground. And you might choose to touch your feet and your knees together. And then allowing the knees to, very small at first, move from side to side. So we're still with the steadiness that the ground provides us with, and that we're connecting to through some parts of our body, while we're bringing in some very easy movement. And if this movement suits you, you could add a rolling of the head, keeping the head on the ground. And it's up to you whether you're turning the head to the same side or the opposite. Once you are balanced left and right side, let us pause that. Let us bring just the right knee into the chest and give it a good squeeze. There's an opportunity to extend the left leg out and even extend out actively through the heel. If it feels right, on your next out breath, lift your nose up to the knee. Let's bring in some more spinal movement. And then lying yourself back down. While you will step your right foot onto the floor, bring your left knee into the chest. If you're interlacing the hands, you might change the interlace. And here is your option of extending out through the right heel, keeping your left knee hugged in tightly. And with an out breath, lifting your nose up towards the knee. Releasing the upper body back down and allowing the right knee to come in as well. You can choose to keep your knees really close or take them out more widely towards the shoulders. And if that works for you, you could rock across your back from side to side. And then allowing either to roll over to the side or to rock a few times forwards and back over your spine as we continue our practice from a standing position. So allowing yourselves to come up to stand on your mat or on the floor, whatever you're preferring. Placing the feet either to touch, and that could be the whole foot or just the toes, the heel slightly apart. You could also choose to step your feet out wider. I personally like a hip distance stance, and I invite you to just acknowledge your stance from a mountain shape so that you can land the weight onto the 3 points of the feet, 2 on the ball, 1 at the center of the heel, the arches already lifted and active. I am still only mainly moving my right arm. Some of you aren't aware of that. I've got an issue with my left shoulder, but I will ask you to still move both of your arms unless I guide you in a different way. So when you're breathing in, let's lift both arms up towards the ceiling. And if you can, interlace your hands, touching the index fingers together for Charlie's Angel's Mudra. On the next out breath, just bending a little bit to the right. On the inhale, center yourself. On the exhale, bend a little bit to the left. And then keep going just from side to side for a few rounds. Finding your way into space across the sides, keeping the steadiness over the feet and the ease within the movement that there is. When we come back into balance, left and right side, let's reach up tall. On your out breath, come into a chair pose. On your in breath, push into your feet and lengthen again. On the out breath, come into chair pose. Arms can be extended or can come in front of the heart space. Push into the feet, inhale, extending again. And exhale for the chair. Now let us pause in the chair pose. Finding open sit bones, like a Y shape. The feet are still grounded. We're opening the sit bones and we're allowing a gentle engagement of our lower abdomen so that we're supporting around the lower back as well. Here's your element of steadiness. And where is the ease? The ease you can acknowledge in the flow of your breath. If your breath isn't flowing with ease and potentially in the full yogi or Jai style, you might want to lift yourself a little bit taller. And if you are at ease, maybe sinking a little bit deeper. Then let us push back down into the feet, rising up, breathing in. And as you're breathing out, let your arms circle behind and place the hands down flat into your lower back. Allow your fingertips to point downwards. Begin to move your elbows back, squeeze your shoulders together. Still stay grounded in the floor. Engage the buttocks muscles lightly. Begin to lift your heart space. If your neck is sore, keep the chin tucked in, look forward. Otherwise, protract the chin, guiding the head forward and then gently backwards. Allow yourself to reach up through the sternum. Inhaling, and as you're exhaling, bend your knees, bend your hips, and come back into a chair. Your choice to reach the arms forward and up again, or to bring the hands to touch in front of your chest. If you want something extra, you might lift up onto the balls of the feet, taking the heels up really high, maybe lifting through the spine, extending yourself as you sink down into the knees. Lift your heels up really high, holding for 2. 1. And then lowering your heels back down, extending the arms again as we breathe in, growing tall. And when you're exhaling, let us bend towards the right side and hold there. You might have both arms extended. Your head could be floating between the arms if you do so. See if you can extend a little bit further, maybe guiding the hip in the opposite direction. As we breathe in, we come to center. And as we breathe out, we're now bending to the other side and we're holding here. And the same here, you might encourage the hip out in the other direction, finding your space in the side body. Let us breathe in and rise again. Take your hands to touch, soften your knees, and very slowly fold forward. Your belly could actually rest over the thighs if you choose to do so. Your feet still could be close or further apart. Now, if you feel your hands can easily touch the floor, you might want to wrap your arms around your calves and slide your fingers underneath your heels. A similar effect could just be to lean a bit further forward into the balls of the feet, so your tailbone becomes the highest point. Allow yourself now to concentrate on the out breath and have 3 more. 2. 1. And then release your hands from underneath the feet and use your next out breath to roll up slowly back into standing. As we take an inhale now, let your arms open out to the sides. Bring a bend into both of your knees. Let your right leg now cross over the left. We're preparing for an eagle shape. You can either hold the big toe on the ground or tuck the legs in together. Then let your right arm just cross underneath your left. You can embrace your shoulders or you can touch the palms of your hands together. Let your shoulders soften gently down, but encourage your elbows a bit forward and away from the chest. Steady gaze here as an all balances to assist us holding our balance. Allow yourself to remain here. 2 more breaths. Leaving your arms as they are, take an inhale to lift the right knee. While you're flexing the foot, extending back through the right heel into a variation of a warrior 3. Pointing through the toes, land the foot into a lunge. Bending the back knee as you rise into a lunge. Or even start to encourage the elbows to lift to the ceiling and add a back bend. We will release that by opening the arms out again, stepping the foot forward and releasing the arms again into mountain pose. Steady your gaze or close your eyes and pause. Allowing with the steadiness and stability of a mountain pose, the body to integrate the one side we've already practiced. Acknowledging how you are feeling. While we bend the knees again and open the arms back out to the sides, we will lift our left knee up and cross the leg over. Big toe again can be on the ground or you can squeeze your legs together. before allowing your left arm to cross underneath the right. Again, the option of hugging the shoulders or bringing the palms together, softening through the shoulders, lifting the elbows, a steady gaze. Noticing how a balance is never 100% balanced, how that is always a work in progress, and how these two elements of steadiness and ease might guide you through. With your next inhale, lift your left knee again and flex the foot. And while you're breathing out, start moving the body forward as you're extending out through the back heel. Warrior 3. From Warrior 3, pointing the back foot, landing it down into a lunge. As you soften your back knee, come to rise into the lunge. And from there, could you choose to extend, lifting the elbows, opening the front body. Gaze might be lifted. We will release that again by lifting and opening the arms, stepping the foot forward and releasing again into mountain. Steady yourself in your mountain shape. The breath flowing deeply, yet acknowledging that the length still allows you to breathe easily. I'm inviting you now to open the eyes again, lift the right knee, and if you can take a hold, squeeze it in towards the chest. You could from there take a hold of the foot with your right hand. There's two variations, one where we're holding onto the outer edge, one we're holding onto the inner edge of the foot, acknowledging how your shoulder is feeling with that and applying that decision. Lifting the other arm out to the front and beginning to bring the foot into the hand, opening our chest as we extend the gaze forward for Natarashasana, the dancer. We will rise back up to stand, bringing the hands to touch and lifting the knee back in front before extending the leg out. If you find you would prefer to hold onto the leg, you can take a hold and even lower your nose towards the knee. If you fall out of balance, you can come back in. Last breath before bending the knee, landing the foot again. Notice if you require a little bit of movement to find the ground again underneath your feet. Before we settle again into a brief mountain pose to begin the other side. We'll shift the weight slightly to the right. Let's lift the left knee up. If available, hug the knee up in towards your chest. We're already in a balance, so your choice if you want to take the foot into your hand and bring the foot behind you. Same option here and same feeling. Try that again. Hold onto inner or outer edge of the foot. And maybe your decision here is of a different kind. We're lifting the other hand up and beginning to bring the foot into the hand or keeping the chest and the gaze open for our dancer shape. Keep guiding the foot back into the hand. Smile a little. The sun's shining. And we will slowly transition again. So as we bring the knee back up in front, you might touch your hands together, potentially flexing the foot and extending the leg out. You could just hold here, use your strength, or you could add a bit of flexibility as you hold onto the leg and lower your nose towards the knee. One more breath if you can manage. Then bending the knee and landing the foot back down. Have a little bit of movement through the upper body. And I recommend to, from there, step onto the mat and widen your stance. If you feel it's better for you to turn the mat around, you could do that if you've got the short end facing the screen. We will align the outer edges of the feet with those of our mat. And we will place our hands into the side of the waist. The next in-breath, lift your heart, lift your gaze, start to draw your elbows and shoulder blades back and closer. You could from here bend your knees on the next out-breath and start to fold forward. Your choice to keep your hands here and open the chest while you're bending forward. But you could also hold onto your legs or even your big toes if that's your preference. Try and keep the shoulders in their sockets rather than letting them fall down. And if you're holding onto your big toes, you could even pull on them and open your elbows. So kind of the opposite direction to keeping hands in the side of the waist. Let us remain here for 2 more breaths. You completed the breath. Bring your fingertips down in front and come to a half lift while you're inhaling. Turn your right foot out and walk your hands to the inner side of the right foot. If possible, your leg is already straight. If not, we will straighten it as we come up. So for the next inhale, let your left arm lift and extend the shape into Trikonasana or the triangle. I don't think it's important to necessarily look up, especially if your neck is sore. You might choose to have a straight gaze point or look down to your big toe. Thinking again about your feet and the steadiness you can create, the support, the foundation even of this shape. We will release that by folding in from the top and rolling the arm back down. As you walk your hands via the center, turn your right foot in and your left foot out. And bring your hands now to the inside of your left leg. Same here, if the leg doesn't want to be straight, here there's room to straighten it as we take a breath in to lift the arm. Your arm could completely extend towards the ceiling again. Maybe the gaze lifts up, but as mentioned on the other side, it's up to you or up towards your neck, what you're feeling like looking at. Use the feet actively to build strength up your legs, to extend out through the spine so we're not collapsing into a triangle. Allow 1 more breath here. And then roll your arm back in and down, turning your toes once more towards the front so the outer edges of the feet align. You might now choose to keep your hands on the floor As your next exhale, folding forward again. Your hands can either ground down underneath your shoulders, or you might even turn your fingers to face behind you. The weight, however, sits comfortably towards the front of the foot. So we're keeping the element of ease within the steadiness that we're achieving through our legs. And we're allowing long, deep out breaths to ease us deeper into the forward fold. Two more breaths. Then take your hands back down. Bring your knees down onto the mat and come to lie down on the front of the body. Encouraging the tops of the feet actively into the ground while keeping your hands by the sides of your ribs. When you take your next inhale, lift your head and chest. You could also lift your hands off the floor if you were after more strength in your back. And you could leave your hands grounded if you're after a deeper extension through the spine. Being mindful that there is still enough ease so you can breathe. Holding for one more. And then relax down onto the floor. You could just bend your elbows, place your favorite ear down. And after back bend, sometimes it feels nice to touch the big toes or to wiggle through the pelvis. Acknowledge for a moment that the support has changed as we're now lying on the front of our body. We will come to another back bend. As we center our head, let your arms extend alongside the body. Turn the palms of the hands to face upwards. While you're taking an inhale now, lift the legs, head, chest, and the arms, and just hold it like that. Extend down through the fingers, toes, maintaining a flow of breath. And then release. Turn the other ear towards the mat. Pause or move. Staying present with all the sensations you are experiencing. Before we make a slight change and repeat the shape. So for this round, turn the palms of the hands to the floor. You can keep your arms by your sides, or you can take your arms out to shoulder height. As we take a breath in, lift again, all limbs off the ground, the head and the chest, and hold there, actively spreading your fingers, maybe even spreading out through your toes as you hold. For 2, 1, and release. Change the ear on the ground again. Let your arms be at ease, legs relaxed, potential movement. Last back bend here could be a full bow pose. For that, you would bend your knees, catch your feet, and I recommend to hold onto the feet from the outer edges, or you can take a hold of the ankles instead. If this is not suitable, please come back to any of the previous. As you breathe in, you might push your feet into your hands and lift your body. And I invite you to hold there for 3, 2, And one. Before you relax one more time down onto the mat, turning your second favorite ear to the ground. Take a few deeper breaths. From there, place the hands back down by the sides of your ribs. Come up onto all fours and extend your hips back for a child's pose. The arms actively extended towards the front, spreading out your hands, and if possible, resting the forehead to the ground. There is likely much more ease here to be felt, as we often use this shape as a resting pose. So if you want to bring in an element of strength and stability, you keep your arms extended to the front. Start to draw the lower abdomen gently in and then down towards your tailbone, and lift up through the upper body with inner strength. Otherwise, curl yourself up, and we're releasing the arms down by our sides. Coming to stand on the knees for a camel. Allow the knees to be separate. You can choose to keep your feet flat or tuck the toes under. We'll begin together with the hands resting in the lower back, pointing the fingers downwards. Start to squeeze together your shoulder blades, moving the elbows back. Bring a gentle squeeze to the buttocks muscles and start to lift your heart. And same as we did standing, there's the option of looking forward. If you want to bring the chin forward, then guide it up and back, that's up to you. And if any of you want to deepen, you could reach with your fingers to your heels. Let's keep the idea of lifting. Yes, we want ease in this shape, but we also don't want to collapse it and maintain the inner strength. Last breath there, and wherever you're at, bend your hips. You might untuck the toes. As you bend the hips, sit back down towards the heels. For a full rabbit shape, could you take a hold of the heels now? If you feel that's too much for you, you could instead place the hands down onto the ground just in front of your knees. Then let's tuck the chin in and place the head back down onto the floor, as close towards your knees as is possible at this stage. Then lift your hips up and come to the top of the head. I can't recommend this shape if you've got high blood pressure, any pressure issues around the head. In that case, I would say keep the head low as long as it feels good, but don't come all the way into the shape to manage yourself whenever you need to lift your head back up. Otherwise, we stay inverted. Couple more breaths. To release, bring your hips back towards your heels and your fists forward to stack them so you can rest the forehead up onto the fists and build a line for head and heart. So the blood flow has time to regulate again. I'm inviting you from there to just roll yourself up into a seated position and to allow your legs to come out in front. We will take a bend into the right knee. Now, if you're sitting on the floor like myself right here, I would recommend to maybe roll up the end of the mat or pop a cushion underneath in general, or because you're slightly rounded here through your lower back. We will start with the left knee in a bend and the toes pointing upwards. Bring your fingertips down to the mat and take a deep breath just to sit upright. And as you're breathing out, then lean your belly towards the thighs. Let your hands come forward and lower your head towards the knee. Now, only if you can very comfortably hold onto the foot and the knee could still be bent, do so. If you're feeling like the foot is way too far away, just rest your hands somewhere gently against the leg. I will invite you to stay here for the length of 5 breaths. Your emphasis on the exhalation and the deepening of the shape. 4. 3. 2. 1. To come out, lengthen your spine, embrace your core and lift to sit. Bring the bent knee up towards you, and you can choose to just keep the foot resting here with a little gap on the inside of the leg, or you can step the foot to the outside of the leg. Your next choice is to keep this leg extended, the toes facing upwards, or to bend the knee and rest the foot down by the side. Let us take a deep breath in and hold on to the bent knee wherever you've chosen to place the other leg. Take a swing with your right hand, place the fingertips behind. You can keep the hand on the knee and go with the out breath into a twist. If you now notice you would like to go deeper, you can embrace the knee, or you could lift your arm and place the elbow to the outside of the knee. Your choice. Let's close the eyes. Stay with the twist. 3 breaths. 2. And 1. When you next inhale, then turn just the head forward and unwind the shape as you're breathing out. Letting your legs release and give them a little wiggle. We will change sides, so we'll bend the left knee. Allow yourself again to find your support in your seat. We will start with the bent knee, but the toes on the right leg are pointing up, and we're bringing the fingertips down there as a support. Let's center over our sit bones, a deep inhale here. And then as you're breathing out and you're engaging your core lightly to just fold from the hips over the thigh, let your hands reach forward. Allow your head to lower towards the knee. Same choices here. You're comfortable in the shoulders to hold the foot. Maybe the knee is still in a bend. Please do so. Otherwise, you can rest the hands again softly against the leg. Taking good care of the shoulders in this shape as we allow ourselves to breathe. Out breath again, your main focus as we hold for 5. 4. 3, 2, and 1. Taking yourself just halfway out of the shape while you embrace your inner strength to lift yourself back up into sitting, guiding your bent knee up. And the same options we've got here, a gap if the foot stays on the inside, stepping the foot to the outside of the leg, and maybe bending the straight leg, making sure that if you do so, you're sitting on the floor rather than your foot. And we will, no matter what you've chosen, place the left hand fingertips behind, take a hold of the knees so we're nice and tall. And with the out breath then beginning to turn into the twist. And here you can choose, lifting the arm to place the elbow to the outside of the knee, embracing the knee as we go into the twist. You may close the eyes for 3, 2, and 1. With the inhale then turning the head forward and unraveling as you're breathing out, giving the legs a little shake out and softening. I will invite you now into a comfortable seated position. Whether this is for you an easy pose or you prefer a more Japanese sit on the heels. I invite you into a few rounds of Kapalabhati that hopefully lifts our energies for the day. If you're not familiar with Kapalabhati, I will explain, but if you are, you could just start right now. If you're not, it is the breath that we sniff out of the nose, while at the same time we're pulling the lower abdomen in. And the breath is quite fast, and the only thing we pay attention to is the out breath, the pulling in of the belly. The in breath is happening automatically. Now, I usually start this practice with an empty breath. So I begin inhaling, exhaling, you can keep the sniffing of the breath out slow, or you can speed it up if you're comfortable with it. Do so unless it makes you feel dizzy or uncomfortable for a little bit longer. If you need a reset, just breathe in fully, exhale completely, and then start again. Finishing after your next one, inhaling, exhaling, and pausing. Just noticing how you're feeling now. I hope you're feeling ready to relax, as I will ask you to lie down onto your back. This time into Shavasana, with the arms opening out gently away from the body, the palms facing upwards. There's still 2 options for your legs. One is to place the feet wider, constructive resting pose, and let your knees drop in. The other one is to extend the legs out and let the toes fall away from each other. You can always use a bolster or cushioning underneath the knees or one underneath the head. And of course, could you use a blanket to keep yourself warm? While you allow the eye gaze to steady again, and also to steady it if your eyes are closed. Allowing yourself to feel the steadiness of Shavasana as you explore all the points of contact to the ground. Noticing those points that feel quite heavy, but also the more subtle touch towards the floor. Feeling the comfort of clothing touching your skin. The space around you. And the very soft and natural breath that might have established itself. Feel free to just observe your breath for a little while. If you like, you can reflect on the practice. The options you might have chosen for the shapes. As you design your own practice, each time you step on the mat and make your own choices. Without that, you can't master yoga. It is important to take care with yourself and to approach shapes in different ways to be able to expand yourselves. This concept of exploration is called Vinyasa Krama and is a useful guide for carrying out not only your yoga practice, but also the tasks of our everyday life. To realize the qualities of sthira and sukha in our asana practice, we must first gain an understanding of the steps necessary to take your body there. The breath is part of that. So is the range of your movement and the body on each day. Considering whether there's an immediate or long-term danger or problems that might arise determining that the pose to be balanced requires your body as well as your breath. As we learn to practice these qualities on our mat, they become more apparent in our life. As you might want to set the intention for today to look out for Sthira and Sukha in your life. If you want to stay in a Shavasana for a bit longer, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, might you begin to deepen your breaths and move the body. So you can take yourself back to a seated shape. If you choose to do so, otherwise you might join in the mind. You can touch the palms of the hands together in front of the chest. Sort of bow towards our heart. From a steady seat, extending to each other with ease, joy, and gratitude. Namaste.